Hey there, horror movie tea sippers.
The following podcast episode will contain spoilers for the movie we are about to review. If you have not seen the movie and do not wish to have anything ruined prematurely, please do not continue to watch or listen until you have seen the movie.
And welcome to the Horror Movie Tea Podcast. Today we are covering The Hunt, which came out in 2020.
Yes.
But before we go into the review, let's grab our cups and talk about tea. So I'm doing my whole spiel of the cream, cinnamon, honey, and the lemon, which has been really helping, by the way.
Yes,
so
it has.
If you haven't, hopefully my voice is slowly improving with each episode.
Yes.
But yeah, so if you are sick and you haven't tried the lemon honey tea like I hadn't, try it. Like it's interesting. It works. Anyways. Yes. So this had been lost in a drawer, and I cannot believe I have never tried it before. I probably got that Black Friday sale that happened.
Probably where you went nuts.
Yeah. And it's discontinued because it's the Republic of Tea, the Crown series, but it's the Queen's Evening Tea. It has, I opened it up. I'm like, it's completely sealed. I could not believe I had never tried it before. I was so mad. It says biodynamic. I have no idea what that is. But it's got chamomile and honey flavor. So, but.
Yay. And I am doing a repeat of Bigelow's Perfectly Mint Classic Tea. It's got black tea and spearmint, and I put just a little bit of sugar in it. Yes, I'm drinking the same cup still. I'm trying not to overdo it, and I'm savoring the slow release of caffeine.
The slow drip of caffeine.
And it wasn't much caffeine because I didn't steep it too terribly long. So I'm trying to be good. But, I need a little pick-me-up.
Yeah. Yep.
It's important.
Yes, definitely. But
so,
thank you to the Republic of Tea for allowing us to continue to do what we love. And for our tea sippers out there, brew yourself a cup of tea, sit back, relax, and we hope you enjoy the review. So for the summary of The Hunt. So I'm just going to keep it very brief. Essentially, these far left rich people capture these far right, not so rich people.
Yeah, it's
less
just
rich people.
Random.
Yeah, just random far right people that
they found on the internet.
That were spreading conspiracy theories about, like, I forgot, something Manor or Manorgate.
Manorgate, what they called it.
Yeah, which is essentially like accusing the far left people of capturing and killing people, and the far left was like, well, now that you
specifically
mentioned it,
far right people.
Yeah. And the far left people were like, well, now that you mentioned it, we might as well make it a thing. And so then they actually make it a thing, and yep, that's all you need to know. But anyways, for entertainment, this one's a toughie for me because there's parts of this movie that I really liked. Like, I think they did it really, really well. But then there are other parts I'm like, I kind of wish that they had approached it differently.
Yeah.
It's like I'm kind of dancing between a 7.25 and a 7.5. I think I'm going to do a 7.5 because it was like this movie is really good at diverting your expectations.
Yes.
To the point where
100%.
It's exciting and you want to see where they're going to take you. Because it's it starts off one way and you're like, oh man, this is going to be such a typical, they're like, oh, it's like the Hunger Games, but a horror movie. But no, they just like completely blow it out of the water, and you're like, what the heck? Um, so yeah, like there's so many scenarios where they like set it up to make you think it's one way, but then they completely change it to another. And there is like really only one moment that I found it predictable. Well, okay, actually I take that back. There's like two or three moments where I found it more predictable, but besides that, it wasn't so much as like, oh god, they're going to take it this way. It was more like, I think it's going to happen this way, and the excitement of seeing of whether or not you were right. Which is very different than a lot of other movies where you're like, it's almost like, oh, I was right. Like,
Yeah.
makes it boring. Where it's like, it's more like a game that you're playing with the movie. Where
It's more like, I was right.
yeah, exactly. And then, like, the movie is oddly kind of comedic, but like in a
Yeah.
way that's not like overtly laugh out loud. But like for example, like there's this part where one of them throws a grenade at one of the people, and he's
And they
like,
forgot to pull the pin.
yeah, and so they have to throw another one where they actually pull out the pin. Or like whenever the far left people are like talking about like the scenarios, and the one that plays the um Arabic like fugitive or whatever,
Yeah.
uh him like playing to that stereotype, but then like, but everyone's like, you're the one that brought it up, like we thought it was weird when you brought it up. Like there's just
Yeah.
like some really like like it was like funny, but not like I'm laughing out loud about it. Well, I mean, I guess it
It's
kind
more
of depends.
situationally funny.
Yeah. But I love that the characters, even the ones that do end up getting killed, for the most part, all of the characters are pretty smart. But so I love the fact that no matter how smart you are in the situation, it doesn't guarantee that character's survival. Because there's so many survival movies where it's like they make the other characters be advertently stupid, and you're like, oh well, I know exactly who's going to live now. But this
Well,
one,
and especially at the beginning, they make it a point that no one is really safe
yeah,
because the most recognizable characters get offed pretty quick.
yeah. Yeah, like I was actually kind of excited that the blonde girl that first wakes up, that I was like, oh, she's in this movie. Like I really like that actress, and then they kill her off. I'm like, damn it,
Killed her off quick too.
yeah, real quick. I'm like, man, I hope that, and she must have asked for a lot of money because they
Yeah.
did not keep her very long.
Might as well have just been a cameo.
Yeah, for real. Pretty much was. So I was like, I love that. That being smart does not guarantee their survival.
Yeah.
Which makes it all the more terrifying, and it makes it feel even more risky, because even if you're like, oh, that's a good move, you're like, well, are they actually going to survive from doing that? The biggest complaint that I have with this movie, though, I will say, is I didn't really completely understand the villain's motivation. Like, I understand that the misinformation and the conspiracies were being said about them, and that's why they ended up wanting to actually do it. But at the
She
same
ended
time,
up losing her job. Like a very, very high position job
mhm,
because of the conspiracy and what they found in her emails,
yeah,
which even in a joking context was not tolerated,
mhm,
which makes sense. But she was so upset over it that she's like, you know what? If they're going to accuse me of it and I'm going to get fired over it, even though we didn't do it, then why not just do it?
yeah. But it's like,
But it was a bit of a stretch for sure.
yeah, because it's like, that's jumping from, I'm having consequences while, like, yeah, technically could be great, because if she can't get, like, another high-paying job like that, it's like she still has, like, a lot of money she can utilize for like
Yeah.
investments. It's not like she's on the streets or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's like I feel like the amount of consequences that they got versus the result of them deciding, oh, we're going to kill all of these people was a bit extreme. But that kind of leads me to the message that this movie is trying, that I at least interpret and saw another other people interpreted, is, you know, the victims in this situation are the far right, or very far right people, I should say, and then the people that are instigating it, that are killing off people, are the far left. And so kind of the message that the movie is trying to push is the far right and far left are so busy like bickering with themselves and literally destroying each other that nothing is getting done. And it's more like the moderate people that are able to like push through, because we're not like fighting with you know, everyone or whatever. But that leads me to my biggest complaint about the movie, and the reason why I was dancing between a 7.25 and a 7.5. It's like once you know the message, they like really push it. Like they start showing you like the background information, where it's like you see the rich people like talking about like how to decide who to pick what. And it's like, I understand that they're trying to show how far left they are, because they're just the way that they're conversing, and they're trying to be like PC, and
They're getting so mad about like people denying climate change and global warming and racist issues and all kinds
yeah.
of other issues, social issues.
Well, it's like it's not so much that, because I feel like that dance is more into like moderate territory as well,
Yeah.
but more like a one of them was wearing a kimono. He's like, is that a kimono? That's like cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
And so like some of the conversations, while like a lot of like moderates would be like, yeah, those are important conversations to bring up, they're like weighing so heavily on that to me it was kind of like distracting from the whole thing, and it made it more like
they beat you over the head with it.
Yeah. Because it's like, it's interesting because like the far right people, they don't really, it's like, yeah, they definitely push. It's like, yeah, they're anti-immigration and they're pro-guns and all. Like, you can definitely see that part of them, that show that they're far right. However, they don't push it quite as extreme. So at least for me, it was less distracting.
Yeah.
So I feel like they could have found a little bit better of a happy middle. Like either have both of them like extreme one way or the other, or have both of them like more towards the middle, where it's like you can tell they're far right or far left, but they're not beating you over the head with, oh, you know which way these people swing, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. The far right people that they had in the movie came off to me as a bit more unintelligent. Like they made some smart decisions, but there were many other dumb decisions.
Yeah.
So I got a little distracted on both ends, honestly, because of that.
Yeah, that's true. And I did find it really interesting that later in the movie they brought that up, where Crystal, was it Crystal? Yeah.
Yeah.
She was asking why she was named Snowball. And then once the Athena explained it, Crystal then like was like, well, that actually doesn't make sense. And then she like explained that. And
you should be Snowball then.
yeah, and Athena's like, you've read Animal Farm? And then that's when she starts questioning, oh, are you really the Crystal we were looking for? And she's like,
and she's been telling them, I'm not the one.
Yeah. And so that also like, because on the one hand, it could have been like, oh, maybe the movie could have portrayed like not everybody is a stereotype of a certain way. It's like just because you're a certain way doesn't mean that you're that particular like political alignment or whatever. But no, they're like, oh, they just got the wrong person.
Well, also, they were picking these people based on what they said online and how they portrayed themselves online, but everybody acts a little bit different on social media and on different websites and things.
Yeah.
So it's not completely indicative of how they really are in real life.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot of people tend to be a bit more extreme online or use it kind of as a mask because you can be more anonymous
Yeah,
on the
like
internet.
I kind of mixed on with the whole online thing because on the one hand, I know some people's argument is like, oh, we are truer to ourselves whenever we
Yeah.
like communicate online, but I see it a lot of mixed
Some people are.
situations where they are bullying another person that's online as well, and something happens, and the people that were instigating that were like, oh, I severely regret my actions, like I'm not normally like that. Like sometimes the atmosphere of the internet can make you,
It turns into mob mentality at times.
yeah, it can bring out the worst parts. And it's like everybody has a worst part of themselves that like, but it's like just because you have a bad part doesn't define it as like who you actually are. You know, we all have dark parts of ourselves, and that doesn't mean that that dark part, it's like, yeah, it's a part of us, unfortunately, but that doesn't mean that we have to make it define who we actually are or how we act. So it's like, it's just like a very extreme situation, them like judging them how they are online. Now, if they were like viewing them like if it was like a Westboro church situation where it's like they are outwardly being violent and obnoxious to people that they don't agree with, now that I would consider, because at least like they're in the real world showing that they're a certain way, but it's like yeah. So
like
that's
with video evidence and everything.
Yeah, but it's like even then you could argue it's a mob mentality type of thing. Or
yeah, you could. It's situational and yeah.
So anyways.
It was just extreme.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, so it's like in my opinion and overall, I really like the movie itself.
Yes.
I like the diversion of expectation, the different scenarios that they put them in, all of that. But then the message that they're trying to push, I felt was ironically really distracting from the movie and prevented me from enjoying it as much as I could. Like,
yeah,
like if it was more subtle, like if you could eventually interpret that from the movie without them pushing like so hard, this is a message that we're trying to push or whatever, then it would be still more enjoyable. But the fact that they like beat it over your head, you're like, okay.
Yeah, they leaned a little too hard into it.
Yeah. So that's what I got for entertainment.
Yeah. So I have been wavering between a 7 and 7.25 for entertainment. I think I'm going to go with a solid 7. Because at the very least, it is a solid 7 for me. And a lot of that, I went with the lower one because they beat you so hard over the head with the extremes of both sides. And to the point where, like, both sides are fairly annoying. And the only character that I actually truly enjoyed was the main character.
Which is ironic because I'm pretty sure that they're trying to show that she is a moderate since she's like, or at least more moderate.
Yeah, she sees both sides of a lot of the things in the movie. But she just doesn't care.
She's like, I just want to live.
Super hardcore. She's like, I just want to be out of this situation.
Yeah.
Which is honestly really refreshing, especially when one of the far right people asks, you know, aren't you at least a little curious why they're trying to kill us? And she responds with, they're trying to kill me. I don't give a shit why. So refreshing. Because usually, like, a big part of the movie is the character trying to figure out why they're in this situation and what to do about it. And she's more focused on how do I get out of this situation
Yeah.
because I don't want to be in it.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter why I'm in this situation. I'm in it. How do I get out of it?
Yeah. Which, I mean, to be fair, the year that this movie came out, 2020, it is when a lot of the divide across America, the gap
Oh, yeah.
became even more apparent. So I could totally see them trying to show that, like, Crystal is the representation of people that are more moderate, where they're like, I just want out of this situation. I don't want to have to pick a side. I just want us to just, like, not be trying to kill each other.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't give a shit about either side. I just want to find a way through.
yeah. Yeah.
Yes. But she, as a main character, is intelligent. She makes mostly all the right moves. She's relatable for the most part. She's just done with everybody's shit. It's just great. As disturbing as her story was about the jackrabbit and the tortoise or the box turtle, I enjoyed her telling of it. The kills were fairly creative. I admit I did laugh in the grenade scene when they forgot to pull the pin.
You
where
would.
the guy was well, the guy was on the ground, and when he realized, like, when he saw the pin was still in it, he rolled his eyes. Like, I'm really gonna die to these amateurs.
That is an insult for him to die.
Yes. Like, how insulting would that be? And to hear them in the woods saying, you forgot to pull the pin. Just sitting there like, really? Just, this is how I'm going out? So I was laughing at that. I really, really actually like the beginning part of the hunt where they kill off some major people that you recognize to show that no one's safe.
Mm-hmm.
It shifts your focus so much, and it's just so unexpected for most movies to do something like that, that it's really cool and really refreshing, and it was different, and I like that.
Well, and also, like, a lot of movies, if they're trying to be ballsy like that, they normally just have one scene where they divert your expectation. But no, they had, like, two, like, major, like, scenes that, like, three major scenes that, like, completely divert your expectation. Like, you think it's going to go one way, and they're like, haha, no. And then...
Yeah, they had 3 different people that were potential main characters before we got to her. Now, it was really cool rewatching it because they show her as one of the first people. They show her by this little pond kind of area where she magnetizes a needle, which I looked it up. It's actually legit. You can actually magnetize a needle with your hair or fur or silk.
That's freaking cool.
And she was using it as a compass. I'm a little surprised she didn't take it with her just in case she needed to do it again. But fair that she was able to do that and figure it out, and start heading that direction to try to get out. That was really cool that they just like did a small shot of her doing that and showing her intelligence and going straight into the mindset of, okay, this is what I need first. This is what I'm doing. This is the direction I'm going. And she strikes out. So that was really cool that they just kind of give a little snippet of her first, and then they start killing off everyone you recognize, basically. And you're like, okay, so who's the main character in this? Until they finally show her again, and you're like, okay, we're back with the smart one. um, a lot of the kills on the left side, like them executing the kills, were kind of difficult for me to watch just because they suck at it so hard.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, I guess, if, they haven't done this before. But they also, I was surprised that they lean so hard into these stereotypes and everything, but they don't seem to have any kind of mental repercussions or emotional repercussions about actually doing the kills. Like, it doesn't seem to affect them.
The only thing I can figured with that is, you know, kind of them leaning back to the message they're trying to portray. It's like whenever you think of someone as the other, you tend to think of them less as humans. And so
Yeah.
it can, unfortunately, and we have historical things of like, a certain like World War where it's like if you other somebody, you can justify doing terrible, terrible things to them and not feel. Yeah.
And I understand that, but at the same time, for example, in the convenience store, the gas station, they kill them and don't seem to think anything of it. But when the lady is dragging one of the bodies, she keeps saying sorry to it. And then she gets upset when she sees the wedding ring. But otherwise, she snaps back to normal like it's just another day and they set up for the next kill.
Yeah, like for me, I think it
So
would have
it's just
made
odd.
Yeah, it's like I think either them showing hesitancy but kind of like justifying it in their head, but then like her, instead of her saying sorry to the bodies, her just seeing the red wedding ring makes her realize, oh yeah, this is a person I just killed, and then having that. But yeah, that is kind of, they could have portrayed that a little bit differently.
Yeah. So she snapped out of it really, really easily. It seemed like a little easier than it should have been, is what I'm saying. And the people in the hunter's blind at the top of the hill, they didn't really show any hesitancy or anything there, which it is different, I feel like, since they're kind of removed from the area. They're not up close and personal. They're just sniping them basically in the fields. So it's a slightly different situation, but I don't know, it just seemed a little off there, like it was a little too easy for them.
Yeah.
So the humor was situational, not so much like witty banter or anything, except a couple of her comments here and there. But it was interesting. It was different. We don't see many of this kind of movie, so it was nice to have something different for sure.
Which is why it's so frustrating that they beat you over the head over the message, because like it's like I'm still dancing between a 7.25 and a 7.5, because on the one hand, like if I just think about the beating over the head with the political message, I would rate it a 7.25, like no problem. But it's like it legitimately, like they started off so well with like the diversion of the expectation, and not many movies nowadays do that.
Yeah,
and so that's
and
why
the epic fight scene at the end too.
Yeah, so it's so sad that their message that they're trying to push is literally taking away from the enjoyment of the movie itself, and that's a bummer.
It is. If they were a bit more subtle with those and toned that aspect of it down, it could have gone to an 8 for me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It could have easily been an 8. But it's just, they go a little too hard in the paint with a lot of that, and it detracts from the movie for sure.
Yeah.
If they focused on just the kills themselves and made it more of a less of a political reason, then it would have held my interest a lot more, for sure.
Yeah. And it's not like because me and Jess like lean towards one way or the other. Like I'd say
No,
on average we're a little bit more to the left. But it's like but I guess what I'm trying to get at is like no matter which way you lean when you watch this movie, it's hard to find something redeemable with the political message because it's like
yes,
if you're more towards the right watching this movie, you're going to be frustrated with how the right is betrayed, and then but it's like it's not necessarily, I don't know how to, it's just how much they beat you over the head with it, I
yeah.
guess.
And I know it's supposed to be exaggerated for the most part for the left and the right. And
Which is
it
whether the
could be
far left
viewed
or the
as,
far right, but
yeah, and it could be viewed as funny, like they're making fun of those stereotypes and things, but it's just, again, they just did too much. They went a step too far. Just
yeah.
back it down just a little bit.
Yeah, like have hints that they're far right, far left, whatever, but you
Yeah.
don't have to be like, "Oh, did you forget? They're far right, they're far left." Like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
it was honestly a little annoying how much they did.
yeah." It's like
So,
hint at it subtly so that way it doesn't distract from the movie cuz you can still do the
yeah, don't
message.
make the entire movie about that.
But like, yeah, every single scene they're like, "Oh, in case you forgot." It's like, "I didn't
Yeah, they
forget."
had to mention it in every scene one of them was in. Every single scene.
Yeah.
So it was just a little obnoxious. And that's why I gave it a 7. It's still entertaining, and again, it's a very interesting movie, but I watch it for the main character for sure.
Yeah. 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 It's like I think I'm still, it's like I really want to give it a 7.25, but it's like at the same time I feel like that won't do the good parts of the movie justice. It's just like,
Yeah. That's fair. I get it.
ah.
I usually grade a little more harsh though anyway, so
Yeah, that's true.
I have a dark soul and very unforgiving, so
Well, it's like
it
comparing
happens.
this to other 7.5 movies, I have more, it's like this one's more extreme. Like I have more problems with this movie than the other movies, but there's things I like more about this movie
Yeah.
than other 7.5s.
It had a lot of good
Ah.
redeemable parts to it.
Yeah.
So it's justified and I get it.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm still on the fence about
But let's
it.
let's go
Anyways.
ahead and move on to
Yes. Realism is
realism.
going to be very short for me. So
Yes.
I rated it, it's like I rated it a 2, but not because of the individual situations, more like the overhead idea of it. Because like the individual situations were actually like fairly realistic, like people, like the guy getting shot in the back with the arrow and him pausing, and the guy's like, "No, what are you doing? Keep moving, keep moving." It's like I can picture someone in that scenario pausing, but like I just, because it's
Just
shocking.
in shock, yeah.
Yeah. And like a lot of the or like the characters in the convenience store where they start to relax because they're like, "Oh, we're safe now.
We've got some cover. There's a phone here.
and they're like,
We've got guns to defend
"JK."
ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like the decisions that the majority of the characters made, I'm like, I can totally see that being 100% feasible. Or like even with I forgot the actress's name, but like the big actress that gets killed off in the beginning, whenever she's like, that almost hit me, like she's in shock, but then it's like, yeah, so it's like there's so many situations where you're like, I can see someone doing that, and that's why like the kills are so shocking, because you're like, they're doing everything that they can realistically do, and even that's not enough. Now, of course, the rolling the eyes whenever the grenade that's probably like one of the least realistic
I
kills.
don't know. I feel like I'd probably do that too. If I was downed by some arrows and some idiots throwing out a grenade without actually pulling the pin, I don't know. I might have grabbed it and pulled the pin and thrown it back.
You know, it's like that, or like at least have him like roll away to like try and avoid, just like nothing.
I mean, you can't roll far with arrows sticking out of your body, but
yeah, but
you can at least try to crawl a distance away.
Yeah, but
or
like
kick it away, something.
I kind of dance back and forth with the girl that fell in the pit that had the spike through her. It's like on the one hand, like we all know by now because we've beaten it over our listeners' heads that you shouldn't remove something that's in your body because that will make you bleed more. But at the same time,
keeping things that are essential in your body.
But it's like in that situation where you can't take that thing with you. Either you lay there until you're dead, or you attempt to like go to a hospital or whatever. So it's like that. I was like really dancing. It's like I probably, if I saw someone like stuck in a pit, I would probably like try and bring them to a hospital too, rather than leave them there. Because it's like, the danger is still very much in that area, so you wouldn't want to just leave them there and call for help, because you don't know when that area is going to be clear. I don't know.
See, I'm that ruthless one that probably would have left them there and sent help if I could.
Well, I'm just saying if I had to go help them, that would be my decision. With how physically weak I am, I'd be like, I'm sorry. I can't even carry
them out of the pit anyway.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't even carry 30 pounds here on
Nah.
It's like I can't even do a push-up.
You
like
wrench your back just leaning down over it.
Yeah, it's like I'm like, oh, like you don't want me to help you. Trust me, I'll just screw us both over.
Yeah, she's gonna be not any help at all. Sorry, guys.
But
she's the cannon fodder that you leave behind.
No. But do you? You're like, I love you. Good luck. And then you're just running out into the woods.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Nice knowing you. We'll have a nice memorial in your honor.
Well, but so those kills aside, going for the more like overview of the movie, like see, like if it's feasible on someone who has a conspiracy theory about them actually enacting that. Not in this specific situation, but I can totally see someone either to troll the people passing around conspiracy theories, or just like out of spite, being like, oh, you think this and it's not true, I'm going to go ahead and do it anyways, just to like, you know, mess with you. But of course,
you're gonna
like,
make me into a monster, then fine, this is what you're gonna get.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But, you know, this is a very specific situation, so I don't know if it will go this far. But in general, like a conspiracy theory, like I think there actually are examples where like someone's passed around like rumors or conspiracy theories about one group, and they're like, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and do that. And then also another thing is, since they are killing people, I found it very odd that they didn't make sure with absolute and utter certainty that they actually had the correct people.
Yeah.
Because they are so wrapped up in like being like, this is why we want to kill them or have them be our target, that you'd think that they would make absolute certain that they're grabbing the right people. Now, maybe it's a part of the political message on like, oh, they're so focused on like attacking, you know, the opposite far side of them, that they accidentally mix up the people that aren't on that side in that situation. I could see that being as a part of the message, but from a realistic standpoint, I don't know. It's like if I would have if I were in Athena's shoes and I was committing that big of a crime, I would want to make sure that there's no way that there's like any trace back or anything. Like just the whole concept, like with the guy being married, it's like the people that they chose, it seemed that it was more focused on what they're saying versus what people they're connected to. Because one of the people that was killed was a podcaster. So it's like if they suddenly disappear, they're not going to go unnoticed. It's like you want to, if you're trying to not be caught, you would want to pick someone that has the least amount of connections as possible. So anyways, it's like that's what I found to be.
And they were taken from all over too.
Yeah,
which helps.
Yeah. Well, and then the whole like that definitely makes it harder to trace, but then the whole like logistics of that, like how long do these people have to be unconscious for you to be able to go around the US like capturing people, like the whole logistics of that, because from my gathering it made it sound like they were all on the same plane, right? Like they only had one plane, but it's like if they were
one plane
doing that, it would seem more realistic that they'd have multiple planes that are all coming together for this one area, which it's like private planes, private commercial, wherever, you have to announce where you're going for flight safety. And so it's like, even if they're trying to cover up their tracks, they have proof of their flight pattern.
Yeah.
So anyways, so there's the whole scenario of that is just very unrealistic and probably not going to get away with that. But that's what I got for realism.
Yeah. I was trying to find real quick. I know they were supposed to be in Croatia.
Oh, yeah, because the people in the convenience store lied to them because they said Arkansas. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, they covered the license plate. Okay. So I don't think... Yeah. Okay. So it's not one of the non-extradition countries. Now, a national of that republic would not be extradited. But like if someone from our country went over there, committed a crime, they would be sent back.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that was not a good country for them to choose anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it too is fairly reasonable for the realism scale for sure. The deaths themselves seem plausible and realistic. I don't know why. I always get their names mixed up. I'm god awful with names, but one of the Wahlberg brothers, whoever's in this movie, the third guy that you're like, okay, well, maybe he's the main character. When he's leaning over the pit and the chick is, half a body and on her way out and she's begging him to shoot her, why he didn't just use the bullet and shoot her? And then she grabs the second gun from him and shoots herself, and he doesn't try to get that gun back. Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm grabbing anything and everything that I can to protect myself. I'm not just leaving a mostly loaded gun there in a pit for the enemy to grab instead and use against me. It was good that they used their thick jackets or shirts to climb over the barbed wire. That was smart. Though the first kill, let me back up a little bit, with the first chick that you think, oh, she's the main character. She was not even fully undercover. Like, she was still mostly out and visible. So I don't know why she wasn't like more toward the middle of the box.
That's true.
For visual cover, if nothing else. I mean, with a high caliber rifle, it's still going to go through the box as they showed. Like it went through a good piece of wood there on the corner anyway. But if nothing else for visual cover, you want to be, as away from that area as possible. And she was still mostly visible.
I'd imagine if you're taking cover over something that a bullet can go through, you'd probably want to be as low as possible, too.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. She crouched down, yeah, but
Yeah.
wasn't exactly smart there. You kind of feel for the second guy that you think might be the main character, because he is a good guy and he's trying to help people as best he can. He tries to help the first chick. He tries to help the girl that was in the container that ends up in the pit. And then he gets blown up for his trouble.
Yeah, that sucked.
That did suck. He was a decent guy from what they showed. But it did serve a cool effect.
A very
And it made an
shocking
impact
scene. Yeah.
for sure. Then they have the Wahlberg brother that comes in there, and he's mostly intelligent. He leans hard into the conspiracy thing, but he's mostly intelligent until they get to the gas station. And I'm sorry, but he should have realized fairly soon after starting the conversation with the 911 operator that it was not a legit call.
Yeah.
Because when you have to suggest yourself that they trace the call,
Like, I'm pretty sure they do that automatically.
they do. They do. So, no, he was an idiot.
What's like you saw his face and he was like, oh, that's odd. Like, he definitely
Yeah.
knew something was off, but yeah, he should have been like, we gotta get out of here. Like, something's
Yes.
not right. Yeah.
We gotta leave. So he was just kind of dumb at that point as well. When the couple that use the ones at the gas station that use the gas, the guy kicks the gas canister closer to the victim, and then he wafts the gas away from the victim, which was really counterproductive. And just bothered me in general. I know it's a minor thing and they're amateurs and all, but if you're trying to kill them more humanely and a little faster, then maybe don't waft the deadly substance away from them.
But then he kicked it towards the one guy.
That's what I was saying. He kicked it towards him, yes, but then he started wafting the stuff away from him when it was like he should have wafted it towards his face. Like if you rewatch the scene, he was wafting it away from him.
Oh, see, it's like I just saw him kick the can. I'm like, oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, he leaned down and started like wafting the gas, but it was away from the dude's face instead of towards it.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe that's probably like a mistake, I would guess.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was a mistake or if he was just showing what an amateur he was at killing them.
That's true. That's true.
And just inept. But yeah. So you would think that they would have trained a little bit in different methods as well to be more efficient, especially if they want to do it in a quote unquote more humane manner.
Which like
the main chick they mentioned had been training for 8 months. So it makes sense in the final fight scene when she was able to hold her own really, really well.
Yeah.
But everyone else sucked.
Yeah, it didn't
horribly.
Really make sense that if they mentioned when they mentioned about killing them humanely, because it's like they're not being killed humanely. I mean, the people that like die suddenly,
it was brutal.
But no, it's like they were suffering before they died.
Really, yeah. And No, I think they were trying to focus more on being fair on those kills in particular, because the ones that suffered quite a bit more did have weapons.
Mm-hmm.
They had a way to defend themselves.
That's true.
So,
that's very true.
And the chick in the pit could arguably have suffered a bit more. She didn't technically have a weapon, but she also was hit with the landmine as well. So really, it's kind of a fluke that she didn't die right off the bat from that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a luck of the draw there for her, which sucked.
Yeah.
But yeah, the dude on the train, he went a little hard in his cover story and all, and it just went a little, it didn't make as much sense.
I did laugh when he like came out and was like, like
I'll
then,
even give you a head start,
yeah,
which was stupid. Like they at that point, the main chick, you could tell was starting to kind of believe that he was actually a refugee until he made that switch and was like, "You're an idiot." Shut up. I'll even give you a head start. And then she's like, okay, yeah, he needs to go. And the dude was like, you know what? Triggered. And shoved a grenade down his pants.
which okay, I want to get your opinion about this, because I was dancing on whether or not to include that in the realism, because on the one hand, like how easily the guy was able to put it in his pants, and then how hard it was, the fact that he couldn't just like put his hand in his pants and take it out.
Yes.
Like that's it. And like
I was coming up on that next.
okay, because it's like, it was how long, like if they had him like attempt to and then he blows up, then fine, but no, he was there for like a good little while with his hand in his
I was gonna count off twice for it, because one, he wasn't able to reach in, grab it out, and throw it easily after the guy shoved it down his pants super easy, and two, it took way too long for that grenade to go off. So yeah, I was getting there.
Okay, sorry.
It's all good. But good points for sure. It just didn't make that much sense there. They didn't really make mention of the podcaster guy being killed until she opened the trunk to show that he was dead.
Yeah, that's true.
It just seemed a little off and a missed opportunity there, if nothing else. But I mean, she had gone to that encampment with him, and Dawn was there, and the guy that they initially thought was from the embassy, the US embassy, was there to pick them up. So why wouldn't they be like, where is this guy? Why isn't he coming too?
Yeah.
Unless they mention, oh no, he's going to be held for shoving a live grenade down someone's pants. Which would have been fair and would have been a logical reason for why he wasn't able to go with them.
Yeah.
But they didn't even mention it. Like, honestly, I kind of forgot about him altogether.
I did too.
Until they opened the trunk and they're like, oh yeah, that's right. He wasn't actually there.
Yeah, like the characters kind of ran together. Like I could tell them the most apart by like their physical features, but like as far as like their personality and stuff, they didn't.
A lot of them were bland.
Yeah, yeah,
mm-hmm. For sure. I feel like Dawn, the guy that she was with after the podcaster guy, the one that was in the car with her, he would have done a bit more to help, especially in the Hunter's Blind. Instead of just making an excuse of, I dropped the pig down there, because he was wearing an airborne hat. So he was in the military as well. So he had experience in training. So I feel like he likely would have helped more. But that's just me. Um,
But is it maybe because he wasn't really on their side?
he was on her side, at least.
Well, I
She
know,
was doing the most to try to get out of the situation and also, in a way, get some payback.
but I know, like, before she goes to meet Athena on the radio, the Athena's like, Dawn, kill her. And then whenever he gets shot or whatever, she's like, he's like explains to her how he trained Athena and stuff like that.
No, that's a different dude.
Oh, that's not Dawn?
That's not Don.
Oh.
Don was the guy at the encampment with her that had the bag over his head, and they were saying hunted like Don. He was the guy in the car that she told the story of the jackrabbit and the box turtle to.
See, I thought they were. See, that's how. Like, I ran those
You're
two
running a
characters
couple
together.
of characters
Yeah.
together. Yeah.
Oops.
No. No, different character there. So they had a different military guy training the or acting as a consultant to the far left. And he fought kind of to stay alive. Really, if nothing else. It wasn't out of a sense of obligation or trying to keep the others alive. It was a, oh shit, there's an enemy here shooting everyone. I don't want to die kind of thing.
Yeah.
He had nothing against her. But, you know, so and he was honestly like they could have gotten someone better to train them or act as a consultant. I mean, I know the National Guard does go through training of their own and all, but you'd think for someone as high up as her who's really set on training and getting the most out of this experience that she would have gone for like a black ops kind of person.
Yeah.
But okay. um she didn't have more damage after that final fight, and I take issue with that, especially since she was stabbed like in the shoulder area fairly deep.
Yeah. Like, I was sure both of them were going to die.
That's what they were mentioning. Like, Athena was like, we're both dead anyway, so just tell me, are you really actually this crystal?
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, oh, whoops.
And then that's her last word.
I mean, what are you going to say at that point? I guess she could have said sorry, but
Yeah, like, honestly, Athena seemed like a, I guess, I don't know if a sociopath or a psychopath would be
a
better
little
fitting.
bit. It's more
But
sociopath.
But it's like, she just didn't care.
Yeah.
She didn't care that she got the wrong person. And maybe that would explain, like, in the realism skill, like, why they didn't go through more lengths to make sure they had the right person.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, it just seemed a little off altogether there. But like she cauterized the wound in her abdomen, but did nothing for the shoulder. Like they completely ignored the wound in her shoulder after the knife came out.
Yeah.
There was no blood spurting on the ground.
That's true.
Or pooling or anything. There was no care taken for that shoulder. Nothing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't even notice that. That's a good point. Because whenever that happened, I was like, oh yeah, she's for sure a goner.
Yeah.
And then they're like, never mind.
I want to know what the explanation was or how they dealt with the situation after they got back when they went to fly back. So, and again, you have to register your flight path and everything. That takes a little bit of time. to get together. It's not an immediate, okay, we're going to start takeoff procedures now kind of situation. So I want to know what they were planning there, how they were going to handle that. But I did like how when she got on the plane, she's like, I just want to go home. I have nothing against you. My issue was with your employers, and they're all dead now. Do you have a problem with that? Can we go home now? And then she, like, the other chick, the flight attendant or a stewardess, or I can't keep up with what their titles are nowadays. She is still in the mindset of work mode of, oh, this is now my new employer because she might potentially kill me. Let me make sure that she's happy. Can I put that on ice for you? Here's some refreshments, here's some caviar. But the main chick is like, have you ever had caviar?
That was kind of
Like,
sweet.
I'm not your employer or anything.
Yeah.
Like, do you want some of this? I don't give a shit. Here, have some. You can have some of the champagne too. Here, try it. I just want to go home. Like, she's being a decent human being when everybody else on the plane was kind of treating her like
That's a
like
very
the
good
help,
point.
honestly,
Yeah,
in the
that's a very
beginning.
good point.
Even the ones that are supposed to be more enlightened, quote unquote, or woke.
Yeah. Which I
So,
guess the moral of the story is both sides were shitheads.
trash. Both sides were trash in the movie. So, yeah, that's what I got there. It was mostly just the things they beat you over the head with, and then nitpicky stuff for the most part. But
Yeah.
the whole situation itself didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like you said, gathering that many people from all over and getting them on the same plane and taking them, that's a huge undertaking, and somebody would have noticed. So no.
Yeah.
Setting all of that up, no.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. The fact that she knew that she wasn't in Arkansas from the price of the cigarettes.
That's kind of funny though.
She works at a car rental company. But okay.
Well,
I mean, I could understand more if she was like a trucker and traveled all over.
I mean,
But
Mississippi and Arkansas are very close together, though.
yeah, that's fair.
And if she's
I
a
am in a
smoker,
Texas
then
mindset, like,
yeah. And if she's a smoker, then it would make sense because it's like
yeah,
cigarettes are freaking expensive. You're going to
they are. It's a very expensive habit.
yeah, you're gonna keep track of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like gas prices for like non-smokers, where you're like, I know that area.
I don't want to go to this
expensive
gas
and- yeah.
station. I want to go to this one. It might be a little bit further, but I'm going to save a bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's like overall, I think for the movie itself, like the twists and stuff, I definitely think it's worth a watch.
Yeah.
But for people that don't like the movies that beat you over the head with political messages, I don't think there's going to be a certain point that the movie gets to that you're not going to enjoy it as much. And it's like, for me, it's like, I don't mind political messages in movies, but this went too far.
I don't mind it, but they went a little too hard in the paint with it. We don't need to be beat over the head with it.
Yeah, like I feel like if they were a lot more subtle with it, where like they were hinting that both sides were like one way or the other, but besides that, like kept the focus more on the movie itself and the outcome and the twists and turns, then yeah, like we said, this would be like an 8 in entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
Like it would be a really good like come back to movie, but because they just went a little too far and it just gets a little redundant and you get sick of it.
Extremely. It's obnoxious how much they use it.
Yeah, it's like I'll probably watch this movie, but it'll probably get to a certain point, like whenever they like they do background scenes, I'll probably like fast forward those because
Yeah.
I'm like, I know what it says. I just want to go back to the current
Yeah.
stuff.
Either fast forward or be doing something else while you have it on in the background.
Yeah. Yep. But thank you so much for joining us today, and we would love to hear your thoughts on this particular movie. If you'd like to recommend a movie, game, or tea, you can leave us a comment or join our Discord server. And if you'd like to keep up to date with our content, you can find our link tree listed below.
If you'd like to support the podcast, please subscribe, like, and share our content. We also have our Teespring and PayPal donate button if you'd like to support us monetarily, along with our Republic of Tea affiliate link. It does not affect the price of the tea. It just helps us continue to do what we love. You can find all of those sites mentioned linked below. But until next time, guys, stay safe and stay spoopy. Bye.
Bye.